This is how you're going to take your power back and choose your best timeline that is not only beneficial for you and your soul, but aligned with the bigger impact and mission that you're here for. So if you are coming across this video, it is not by accident. Hello, good morning to those who are hopping on. If you're catching this later on the replay, please comment replay, let me know that you're here. So I woke up this morning with a really strong feeling and a really strong download about what I'm about to share with you now. And it felt like this is a really pivotal time to be speaking on it and a really pivotal turning point for humanity. And I want to note before I get into the message itself, nothing I'm sharing is ever meant to plant fear. So everything I'm about to share with you could be interpreted where there's moments where you're like, oh, but that sounds scary. Or it could be interpreted as, oh my God, that's so empowering, because that actually allows me to take power back that I've been unknowingly giving away, and I can create and show up from my fullness. So everything today is to help you feel more empowered and to realize what you are holding within you and what you're here to do. So many of us, some of us not yet, but many of us are aware of the fact that there is a very strong movement to hijack our consciousness and keep us living in fear. And so if you are awake to that, if you realize that the news and the media is always planting these negative seeds, if you're aware that there typically is hidden agendas and negative agendas, then you have possibly, like myself, fallen victim to that at times. And what's happening is that there is an attempt to push ideas into the collective consciousness so that we use our creative power to create them unconsciously. Okay, and this is why it's so important to become conscious, because there are infinite potential timelines, infinite potential realities. And the timeline I'm creating for the world could look very different than the timeline you're living in or you're desiring to create for the world. Ideally, we're heart-centered, empathetic beings, and our ideas of the highest timeline incorporate unity and empathy and oneness and fair treatment for all, right? But there are also those on the planet who their intended timeline is negative. It's fearful, it's control-based, it is siphoning and taking from others, it is modern-day slavery, it is abuse and trafficking. Like, there's so many horrible things going on the planet, right? And this live stream is not about that. But it's about the fact that when we are unknowingly plugging in to a narrative or a fear-based timeline, we then can feel more disempowered in our own ability to create the higher dream unity timeline, right? So there's this attempt to have everyone following this narrative so that all this life force energy, all this power from people around the world is going into that reality happening. And when we pull that power back, we pull our attention back, we pull our energy back, and we start connecting back within our hearts or to the divine and to a loving creator, then it's like those potential timelines don't exist as much to us anymore. They don't seem like the only thing that can happen. And I'm going to give a couple examples because I want to make sure that it's coming across that none of this is about spiritual bypassing, okay? So for as long as I've been alive, there has always been narratives in the media about economic problems, right? There's always been financial issues, and yet there's never been more money printed at a time. And we could get into the details around how the financial system works, but that's also not the point. The point is that we live in a very abundant world, an abundant universe, abundance of people, abundance of opportunities, abundance of money circulating, abundance of new jobs starting every day and new roles and new businesses opening up. So there is a potential for you to be on the timeline of seeing there's an abundance available to me. There's so much available for me to step into or to create with. But if we're plugged into the narrative from the news or from whoever is maybe more in that control and fear-based paradigm, they're telling us it's horrible times. They're telling us the economy's crashing. And there is realness to that because we see inflation, grocery prices, all the challenges that are taking place, and all the inequality. So that is truth. I'm not bypassing that. That is very much real right now. But when we step out of thinking that that's real right now and that's real forever, then we can create the alternate ideal reality. Just like when there are horrible things taking place on the planet and wars and fighting, that is a very real situation. And that is a very real timeline. I'm not ignoring that it exists. But the idea or the goal of those in control with the negative fear-based agenda is that they want us to feel so defeated and disheartened by it that we feel like we can't make any positive changes, and we drop into that, and then that timeline can continue to just escalate. They want us to lose hope so that it's harder for us to create positive change. So my invitation and my personal practice is to be aware and to see these things. I see what's going on in the world and the power imbalances and the mistreatment, and it breaks my heart, and I grieve and I feel for that very deeply. But I know that if I get sucked into it for too long, I will lose hope in a loving creator, and I will lose hope in my own ability to help facilitate positive changes so that someday down the line, whether very soon or 20 years from now, we will not be stuck in that timeline anymore. So it's the awareness of what is right now, accepting that this is tangible and real, okay? But then choosing, how do I want to respond and show up from that place? So, like I said, if we are being fully hijacked by the news and the fear programming and the propaganda and the constant gaslighting that they're throwing at us to make us so confused, and if we're pulled into the constant division of the media so that we're no longer, focusing on just loving one another or being in our hearts or working towards unity consciousness, if we get so pulled into that lower level frequency, then unconsciously humanity could end up creating those things. The beautiful thing is that I don't foresee that happening. I know so many incredible people around the world, and there are so many movements and leaders and change makers and visionaries who are consciously, consistently choosing the highest timeline and showing up for the world they want to create. But this is your reminder and your invitation to pay attention to where you're giving your power to, because we can very easily fall into a place of unconsciously, unknowingly giving our power to a narrative that isn't 100% truth. Okay? It is not 100% truth that the things are going to decline, or that the world is going to end, or that this bad thing is going to happen, or that there's no hope, or that we can't make positive changes. There's no 100% truth, because there's so many potential realities and so many things that could happen in an instant that radically open up a new portal of possibilities, or open up a new way of thinking, or a new technology comes in that does something massive, or a cure for a disease is finally released, and boom, that elevates so and supports so many people, right? Or one of the evil leaders no longer has control, and now the food and resources can be distributed equally along the planet, right? There is potential for all of those realities to exist at the same time, and what's important is where we're choosing to plug in. So you can plug into a timeline where you are helpless, and where you have no ability to change things, and where you have to just accept what is right now and say, I guess this is how it is, and I don't think it'll ever change. You have that possibility. But if you're still watching this, I know that's not the reality that you are here for, and I know it's not what you're wanting to choose. And the alternate is to go, I see where we are right now, and I know what I'm passionate about, and I know there's many other people who are passionate about positive changes, and I know that if I pull my energy back from those fear-based things, and if I funnel it towards the thing I desire to create more of, instead of the fearful thing that I want to avoid, right? I'm going to pull it and put it to what I love, what I want to expand, what I want to deepen or soften into, what I want to elevate and bring into the world. When we do that, we're now taking all our energy back, but we're also taking the full power of our consciousness and now projecting it down a different pathway. So this is why I said there's nothing wrong with being aware. I think it's incredibly important to be aware. That's why I do personally like to stay on top of some things and be somewhat aware, but I don't get sucked into them because it doesn't help me, and it doesn't help me help the world. That's just me. But it's good to be aware of those things, but we want to then project our consciousness fully towards the thing that we desire to see more of. So if you want to see more love in the world or more kindness, how would you project that forward? How would that look for you? How would you be showing up today? What would that be embodied and shared and radiated out into the world? If you dream of more freedom and a world where it's truly heaven on earth and everyone is supported and there's more than enough and everyone can be at peace with one another, if you're wanting to project your consciousness down that timeline and down that potential reality, what would you need to do, or who would you need to be, and how would that look like, and how would that feel like each day if that's the timeline you are choosing? So we're coming to a pivotal moment, I think, in humanity where it's never been more important for us to get our blinders up and to really start focusing on, yes, this thing is happening right now. I don't like it, or I don't agree with it, or I don't think it's fair. And my blinders are up about what change or what positive thing I'm bringing to help lessen that. Because if we focus on that, then we fall into the frequency and the vibration of it, and it's a lot harder to get out, and it's a lot harder to create changes. So for those of us who are here and feel so driven by purpose and feel so passionate about making the world better, those blinders up are going to allow you to then just think of it, if you had 360 degree vision, right? And it's going out to all of these different things. Or if you have it zoned in on that one thing, and now it's like a laser beam focused to boom, this is the timeline, or this is my path, this is my impact, this is what I'm creating. And having the intention, knowing that by doing this, by focusing here, by channeling all my unique gifts and energy to this pathway, it is going to elevate the planet. It's going to support people around the world. It's going to ripple out and make a difference. So that is what I believe is happening right now, with a very powerful choice point where it's fear or love. Yes, in order not to dive into despair, but focus on the love we want around us and the freedom that we have to focus all our energy, actions, and mentality onto that. Otherwise, we fall into the trap the system has set for us. Exactly. Beautiful. I'm glad you get it. Not dive into despair, but focus on the love we want around us and the freedom that we have to focus all our energy, actions, and mentality onto that. And that's the key, right? So I so appreciate you commenting this. That's beautiful. We actually have more freedom than we realize. The system has been created so that we don't feel like we're free, and we have to fight for that freedom. And again, some of that is very real. There are some major inequalities. So I'm not just saying it's a pretend perceived lack of freedom. I know that there are many people who genuinely lack freedom. But in terms of the system itself and the way our consciousness works and the way our energy creates things, they want us to feel like we don't have freedom because they're inundating us with this narrative and this war and that fear and this thing going wrong and another thing going wrong here, and you should be scared of everything in the world, and you should be scared of your neighbors, and you should be scared of the country over there, you should be terrified of everything. Like, that is what they are trying to keep people in. And when we realize we have freedom to pull out of that, and for me, travel was such a huge part of that, because once I left Canada and I started traveling the world, and people in Canada who had never left my hometown were like, it's not safe out there. Or they're like, what do you mean you're going to India as a woman by yourself? Or you're going to go travel here or do that. And they were so afraid because that's the narrative they had been given, and the narrative that the news told them, and the narrative that was always showing up for them. And I realized I had freedom to choose for myself what I wanted to believe, and I believed in the goodness of people, and I believe I would be supported and safe in following things that light me up and bring joy to me. So I decided to travel regardless. And I went to these countries that other people were saying, oh my gosh, you should be afraid because the news tells us it's scary there, or our government tells us and has warnings it's not safe to travel there. But a lot of that is just their intended fear to keep people stuck somewhere else and not seeing what is actually available. And so when I went to these countries, I was blown away. I had some of the most courteous people I've ever met, the most loving humans. I felt so safe and supported. I made some incredible friendships around the world in all these different countries. So it was me choosing and realizing that I have freedom of where I'm focusing my attention and energy. And what we focus on grows, and what we live in and send off, we get back, right? So if we're living in a state of fear, we typically do attract more fearful situations, or even if they're neutral situations, we still feel fear about it because fear is our internal vibration. But if we are in a state of love or acceptance or empathy or hope and faith, and we're vibrating in that, and our frequency is giving off this beautiful radiant light, and that's who we're being, then we are going to naturally send that out. We're going to naturally see that in the world around us, and naturally attract more of that back into our vortex and into who it is we're being. So, coming back to that comment, when we focus our energy, actions, and mentality onto what we desire and what we wish for the highest timeline for ourselves or humanity, instead of what we've been told we should expect, that's how we get out of the system, the trap the system has set for us. Yeah. Because everything has been designed for suppression. And the second we truly see that, for me at least, it feels like a weight's lifted, because it's like, oh, that's why things have felt so hard, or that's why energies feel so heavy, or that's why so many people are struggling. That's why trauma is like insanely heavy and like hitting everyone. That's why there's so many things going on in the world right now that are making us feel heavy or sad or in those lower vibrations, because we're on a planet that those controllers are trying to keep us in suppression, because your light is too freaking bright and your light will change the world. So it's our responsibility to become aware of that, to see that, to acknowledge the power that's within you, to acknowledge that it's not bad of you to dream of better or to want more for yourself or the world. And it's not unrealistic, because if each person, or even if like 1% of the population, I think there's that quote, it takes like 1% of the population to shift the frequency. So when it's from a higher state of being. So I personally believe that's already happening. I believe we've got a lot more than 1%, but the news and the media just wants to keep us thinking we don't. So you pull your consciousness back, pull your energy back, pull your power back from the people, the things, the places, the beliefs, the narratives that you are deeming have more power than you. If you're putting them on a pedestal and thinking, this person said that, so it must be truth, or this, the money, the dollar just dropped, so it's going to be horrible, or this thing just happened, so I know I'm not going to have success with what I want. Like whatever you are giving that much power to, you're unconsciously going to create that reality. So we want to be so hyper aware, and not in a stressful way, but just in a like, how can I actually get back over here and play in the realm of magic and miracles and have fun and be excited about what I get to create? And how can I love what I'm doing? And how can I say, ooh, yes, this thing just happened, or there was this dip in the economy, or another horrible thing went on in the world, or another leader made a corrupt leader move. Like, yes, that just happened. And what am I going to choose to make it mean about me? I'm going to choose to make it mean that I'm still fucking badass and I'm in control of myself and my energy, and I'm going to be okay because I'm connected to the divine and I trust in love. I trust in my path, and I'm going to keep channeling that energy to the things that I want to bring more of and the things that I want to see. Yes, if we realize how much power we have individually and as a community, we can really achieve a lot. Exactly. So that is the secret sauce, right? It's like, where are you putting your energy? What do you want to believe? And I've noticed this on a personal level with close environments, with friends and family, and it's why over the years of diving deeper into this work for myself, I needed to set harder boundaries. I needed to change places. I followed what was best for me, because if we're also surrounding ourselves with friends or family, and if they are very stuck in a fear-based timeline or in the worst case scenario, or they're telling you you can't achieve the things that you want, or it's not possible, or they're so focused on what they believe to be true, sometimes that can rub off on us. Sometimes they try to project it on us. So that's where the discernment again of like, what is the most supportive for me so I can show up at my fullest, and where are the communities where people are thinking similarly, where people are holding on to hope, where they're creating from passion and joy, where they're excited about what they're bringing into the world, where they're not feeling like a victim to circumstance, but they're constantly trying to rise up and to create and to build better. Because every single time we commit to pulling our energy back from timelines we don't want to be on, then we have that much more potential to create with and to put forward into the things that we're actually meant to be creating. I see a few people joining. Hi. And that just inspired me, like Blink just came in about, I believe that all of us are artists. I believe that we all have so much magic and medicine and beauty to bring into the world. And you'll never be told that by the news. You'll never be told that by those leaders in charge or the corrupt systems. You'll never be told that by all the ways they're trying to take over with different AI or their own agendas. And oftentimes, sadly, we're not even told that by our parents or family or friends. It's our role to see ourselves as well, to go, I know that what I have is beautiful, I know that what I desire to bring forward and share in whatever creative expression that looks like, I know that that's needed. I know that that's helping create that positive vibrational shift. I know that the more I continue to funnel and operate from love and spread that out into the world, it can only do good things. That is such a powerful stance for us to take and for us to claim, instead of feeling like I don't have enough to give, or I don't have anything special, or getting caught into the fear or the lack that then makes us freeze. So choose your best timeline. Pull your energy back and direct it where you want to, right? And if you want extra support with this is so much of the work that I do with my clients, whether inside my group programs, private one-to-one mentorship, but it's all about you being in your highest alignment, connecting to your truth, your higher self, your intuition, your unique gifts, and bringing those through into the world and feeling empowered to do so. And empowered to set the boundaries if you need to set the boundaries, or empowered to speak up for yourself, take up space, show up in a new way, leave the environment, go to a completely new one, create the new identity, and really just feel embodied in who you truly are and how incredibly talented and unique and remarkable that is, and sharing that with the world in whatever way feels good to you. So I have a monthly membership as the easiest, smallest, if you just want daily messages, and also access to over 20 really powerful quantum healing hypnosis activations. You can jump inside that. There's also a monthly breath work. Or if you're wanting to work more deeply with me, that's where my Thrive program or my quantum healing hypnosis bundles, my bigger bundles, come into play. And those all have access to me on monthly calls, private group chat for us, or there's one private spot open right now for mentorship. So choose your highest timeline. Do not give your power to the fear. No matter how, they're going to keep getting louder, right? The news, the media, the leaders, they're going to keep getting loud because that's what they do. But no matter how much they're trying to push the fear, you can see it, but then unplug from it and now go direct your consciousness to creating the things that you're here for and the things that you know will actually leave yourself and the world better. Okay, so I'm sending you so much love. Thank you to everyone who joined me here today. Some beautiful, beautiful souls in here, and I'll see you again soon.